What makes a great hero? Is it their resiliency during challenging times? Is it their bravery and courage to stand up to the odds? Or is it their leadership skills? Whatever it may be, there's one thing that is true. We all love our heroes, and we can't get enough of seeing them in our stories. But why is that? Well, in this series, I will be exploring the greatest heroes of all time to answer this question. And to start, we will take a look at Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog is one of the most iconic characters of all time. But then again, you already knew that. I mean, everyone knows about the little blue hedgehog with supersonic speed. So what can I tell you about this character that you don't already know? Well, I think if we look at some of his games, we can find out just what we need to know about the type of character that Sonic is, and how his impact was felt amongst his friends and peers, as well as some of even his greatest enemies. Now before I continue, I do want to let it be known that I won't be covering each and every Sonic game, as there are simply too many games in this series, and not each and every single one involves showing off Sonic's personality, as some are simply just being made to only move the game along and do not dive into the intricacies of his personality. I also would like to invite you all to leave your comments down below and let me know if I miss anything, as it could be very helpful not only to this video but other future videos in this series. I am more than willing to hear your thoughts on this character, especially if you love Sonic just as much as I do. And without further ado, let's begin. When we first meet Sonic, he appears to be a kind of a loner character, as he is in large part mostly on his own for the majority of the OG games, before Tails eventually makes his debut into the series, and Knuckles not long after. I believe at the very start of the series, Sonic the Hedgehog was a loner, who had trouble making friends and might have even closed himself off to others. In Sonic the Hedgehog 1, for example, Sonic was the only playable character, and the only other character in the whole game was the villain Dr. Eggman. Now of course over time, eventually many more characters would appear in the later titles, but none of them are people Sonic knew before Sonic 1. They were all strangers to Sonic when they first appeared, and being that he is a fast hedgehog, you could imagine that this will make it rather difficult for him to form meaningful relationships, being that the world must be rather too slow for his rather fast lifestyle. It's no wonder that friends like Amy basically had to force their way into his life, as they wouldn't be allowed to enter otherwise. And it also makes you believe that any other friends he may have had before Tails and Knuckles most likely just couldn't keep up. Another aspect of Sonic's personality is his loyalty to all of his friends and loved ones, because while it may have been difficult for him to make friends at first, when he does finally allow people into his life, he suddenly feels the overwhelming need to protect them as much as he can, as he sees them kinda as people he needs to protect given his abnormal speed and abilities. We see this a bunch in Sonic Adventure 1 when the tornado is shot down, and Sonic is separated from Tails. Sonic had no idea if Tails was okay, so he needed to find him quickly, but Amy just had to show up asking for him to help save a lost birdie. Sonic of course never agreed to this, but when Zero arrived to capture Amy and the bird, Sonic was determined to rescue them, but Zero ended up escaping with them anyways. In this instance, Sonic had failed to protect his friends, but again, this seemed to align with his loner personality, as he was probably so used to only going at things solo, and never truly relied on other people. He has quickly shown that they are more than capable of rescuing themselves, however, when Tails returns with the Tornado 2, which he and Sonic used to attack the egg carrier, and this time successfully make it on board, where they find out that Amy had already escaped custody with help from an Eggman robot no less. In this moment, Sonic has learned that his friends can take care of themselves, meaning he can have friends without putting them in constant danger. Another thing that we know about Sonic's character is his thrill of adventure. He's always the type of person who never shies away from a challenge. We can see this displayed perfectly in the pilot episode of Sonic X, when Sonic is seen running around the city looking for a way to get back home after an explosion transports them to another dimension occupied by humans. He is challenged to a race by Sam Speed of the Speed Team. Sonic immediately drops his quest to return home in order to test out the Speed Team's abilities, even sporting his signature smirk and cracking a couple of witty, cocky jokes about how slow they are along the way, even taunting them by running backwards at one point. And even when Sonic ignites his Nox and gets ahead of Sonic, he activates a Sonic Boom, continuing to support his signature smirk along the way. He also brags about his love of adventure to Shadow in Sonic Adventure 1 when he introduces himself to him.
So, there's more to you than just looking like me. What are you anyway?
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog.
Another aspect of his character is he always does what he thinks is right, even if it may be kinda flawed, such as in Sonic and the Black Knight, where when finally confronting Milena in the end battle, Sonic asks her a genuine question about why she is doing what she does.
Just one question before we settle this. Why'd you do it? Weren't we trying to save this kingdom from the underworld?
This kingdom will fail one way or another. Such is its fate.
Huh?
Do you know what is to become of this kingdom?
Beats me.
And even though Sonic knows that a fight will still happen, he actually sounds genuinely curious. And even when he is faced with an overwhelming boss, he still refuses to give up and quit, because he sees stopping her from her goals as the right thing to do, and refuses to be swayed otherwise. Black Knight definitely understands the Sonic character perfectly, as the game shows that Sonic isn't always right, and even sometimes his actions can be rather questionable, but he is still willing to do what he believes is correct. As in order for her to achieve her goal of a world that could live on forever, it would mean drowning the world in darkness and evil, and Sonic believes this to be wrong, despite the good intentions that Milena must have. Now, whether or not Sonic is doing the right thing here is not for me to answer, and I will be leaving this portion of the video up to your own interpretation, so please, feel free to let me know in the comments section if you believe this to be the right choice or not. But anyways, let's continue. The last two things we seem to know about Sonic's character is he is very thought-provoking and always willing to uplift others, as even in his darkest moments, he's always throwing up a thumbs up to his friends and smirking. But despite this, Sonic is still a hero that knows when to take things seriously when the time is appropriate. He may be a cocky hero, but he isn't a stupid one, as when he is faced with overwhelming odds, or is confronted with many of Eggman's gadgets and robots, Sonic will then choose to drop the smirk and put on a more serious face when the time is right. Two good examples come once again from Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, as when he is trapped in one of Eggman's pods, he puts on his famous smirk and tells Amy and Tails not to worry, and that he will entrust in them to take care of everything while he is away. This also goes to show his willingness to help and uplift others, as he clearly doesn't see Tails and Amy and his other friends as lackeys, but this time as equals. Equals who have shown to him that they can hold their own, and don't need to be saved by Sonic in order to function. But another scene which showcases his ability to take things seriously is in Sonic Adventure 2, as in most games, Shadow is constantly seen looking down at Sonic, and always standing above him as to say that he is better than Sonic. And as you can see from Sonic's face, he recognizes in this moment the severity of Shadow hoisting up a Chaos Emerald, and is immediately dropping his signature smirk and assessing the situation at hand. As the game continues to go on, Sonic clearly sees Shadow as a rival to overcome, so much to the point to where even Shadow recognizes him as an equal towards the end of the game, as they can finally now be seen on equal ground. It shows that not only can Sonic take things seriously when needed, but he can also uplift those around him, even if they are enemies, as Shadow no longer sees Sonic as less than towards the end of the game, but a worthy equal. He has grown as a character and begins to grow as a person even, and this can also be seen in his constant uplifting of Tails in Adventure 1, as Tails is constantly willing to drive headfirst in a battle anytime Sonic gets involved, and there certainly are plenty more examples in other games too. And in the end, what does all of this tell us about Sonic? He is a character who lives life to the fullest, a character who always tries to do what makes him happy, and makes life a series of adventures. He was always someone who definitely was a bit on the cocky and arrogant side, but was always loyal, and who always strived to do what is right, and stick by his beliefs and ideals for good, no matter how bleak the situation is. He is someone who sees himself as a protector for those in need, even his friends who sometimes may not need to be rescued. He is someone who will always believe in doing what's right, even if it may seem wrong on a moral perspective. That is what makes him great. That is what makes him iconic. And that, ladies and gents, is what makes Sonic the Hedgehog a hero. Thanks for watching.